So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And this season, myself and Dad tried something a little bit new, which is a EFL match day roundup. So we started doing these at the start of the season. They went down quite well. So we're going to continue it. And it's just to give the Blues fans a little bit more awareness of the match day weeks, give an overview of the results, what we think of certain games, certain goals, where we might think the Blues might go next week as well, and just talk generally about EFL match day weekend. So, Dad, I've got a list of games here that we're going to go through. Should I just kick it off with game one, or do you got anything to say before we get into it?
Well, just before we do that, let's just a few just general highlights of the game week, because the Championship's brilliant, isn't it? It's great. But it wasn't a great weekend for us, was it? Birmingham City. We'll come on to that in a minute when we obviously lost to Leicester. But standout performances, I thought, and again, you may disagree with this. West Brom beating Stoke away was a battle of two teams that hadn't lost any games. That was good. I thought Middlesbrough are continuing. They're the only team now in the Championship with a 100% record, beating Sheffield United. But Derby as well nearly beat Ipswich, so they scored late on.
Was it a 90 plus 16 penalty?
Yeah, well, I mean, Wrexham got a 90 plus 18 goal in their game. But to me, if I was to pick a standout result this weekend, I'd go for Wrexham's win away at Millwall. I think it's their first win in the Championship and against a good team as well.
I think a lot of people have dubbed Millwall to do quite well this season, especially at the Den. I think that's going to be a bit of a fortress. So to go there and get 3 points, 2-0 is pretty comfortable. Fair play to them. So let's get into it, Dad. I mean, there's no massive order here, but we will try and go in kind of game day and time order.
That's what I've done as well.
So we'll start on the Friday game, which was sadly our club, Dad, and that was Leicester City 2, Birmingham 0.
Yeah, well, we've done those of you who are Blues fans and will know that we've done a post-match podcast on this, so there's quite a lot of detail if you want to go and look at the game and our thoughts in a bit of detail. But generally, 2-0, it was a game of not huge amounts of chances for both teams, and I felt that for Birmingham City's perspective, it was just a lack of a cutting edge and progress, going forward. And in the end, it was just two pieces of just a bit of clinicalness, I would say, from Leicester. Yeah. They were the only two shots they had on target, and they scored both of them. Yeah. And pretty much, I think that generally sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt. I don't know what your thoughts are.
No, I agree. I think we had decent moments of possession. I thought we controlled large parts of the game. It doesn't matter, does it? I think Leicester took their 2 chances well. They finished them. They punished us. And ultimately, if we want to be a force this season, Dad, we have to start creating more chances, don't we?
Well, we do. And from Leicester's perspective, they've started the season quite well. I think that they'll be strong at home. What Leicester do this season will be determined, I believe, by what they do away. Because I think a lot of teams will drop points at Leicester.
Yeah.
But they're going to be strong again. Disappointing weekend for us.
Yeah, absolutely, Dad. And also on a Friday, it's an extra gut punch, isn't it? Because you have to then go the whole weekend and watch all the results come in.
Friday night games are great if you win them, because you can just sit down, relax, and watch the rest of it. If you lose them, it's not great, is it? But anyway, it is what it is.
Exactly. And that brings on to my next game, Dad. This was one of the half-12 ones on the Saturday, and top v bottom. And as you alluded to in your first part there, Middlesbrough on an absolute tear played 4-1-4, and the complete opposite, Sheffield United played 4, lost 4, which has surprised a lot of people. So, Dad, Middlesbrough 1, Sheffield United 0. What are your thoughts?
I think everybody's surprised by the start of Sheffield United, and nobody would have. If you'd have put money on them losing their first 4 games of being bottom of the league by the first international break, I think a lot of people would have laughed at that.
I know.
But it is what it is, and I know that there's a lot of frustration from. If you look at social media, so Sheffield United fans are quite frustrated with what's going, the style of football. I think a lot of people are criticising Ruben Sellers and the what he's introduced and the style of football. But let's give credit to Middlesbrough. Did you see their goal? I thought it was a cracking goal.
I've got it in my notes here to say the Middlesbrough goal is what I want to see at Blues for Kygo.
Yeah, it's fantastic, wasn't it? It was Matt Targett who's just come, hasn't he?
Lovely assist.
And they've is it Newcastle they got him from? But anyway, they've got him on loan, I believe. Yeah. And again, Middlesbrough fans, please correct us. If he's a permanent signing, and let us know in the comments below where we got him from, where you got him from. But Tommy Conway, and he's going to be quite prolific this season because. But what really made that goal, Matt, was the pass from Targett.
It was lovely.
It was so measured, and
it was over 2 players, wasn't it? And really precise precision that was, and a great finish as well.
Really good finish, and I think Middlesbrough are going to have I think we've said this before, they're the team in previous seasons that are flattered to deceive. I think they're in for a good season this year. They've clearly demonstrated that by their start. That was but again, for Sheffield United, I don't know where they go from this, because obviously there's a few days left at the time of recording of the transfer window. In fact, actually, the time this podcast goes out, it will be the transfer deadline day. Actually, it's just worth mentioning, it's a very quick note on that as well, but Birmingham City supporters who are used to me and Matt doing transfer podcast when we introduce new players. Just to let you know that at the time of recording, I'm actually away. This is a pre-recorded the day before, and I'll be back in a week. So when I come back, me and Matt will do an overview of the transfer window and signings for Birmingham City. So if you think there's expecting podcasts that are usually there, it's only because I'm away for a few days. Just to clarify that. Anyway, back to the game. So that's Middlesbrough versus Sheffield United.
Yeah,
What you
and,
got next?
just to add to that, Sheffield United, it doesn't seem to be getting better either. They're apparently willing to sell Callum O'Hare and Gus Hamer as well. So it looks like they're having a complete fire sale. I don't really know what's going on, to be honest. I know they got new owners midway through last season, but it seems like they're being ran into the ground. It's like a lot of Sheffield United fans are saying, how have we gone from this to that in less than a year?
Well, they brought in a few players. I mean, they brought in Tahish Chong from Luton. He used to be at Birmingham City, actually.
Yeah. I like Chong.
It was a little bit lightweight for me, if I'm really honest. And, he's clearly got ability, but he got pushed off the ball too easily. And also as well, Tanganga as well, they got him from Millwall. And I thought that was a good sign, actually. So I think that, and he played in this game. But I just think for Sheffield United, they need to do some business because they really need to freshen that team up. To get them sort of started. I think they'll be all right. I mean, I think it's just one of them things. It's just the hangover from relegation, and they will be okay. But I think, if they're going to do anything this season, they've got to do it immediately.
Well, we saw last season, Dad, Luton do a double relegation. It's not completely off the cards. I mean, I would.
I can't see that.
No. I'd be really surprised if that happened to Sheffield United, but it happens.
Well, we've seen it.
Is my point. Yeah. So that brings on to our next game, and a team which clearly turned it round from their thrashing last week at Coventry. QPR won 3-1 against Charlton at home. What are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I saw the goals on that as well. I mean, Charlton always to me look like a team that are very capable. They're going to be hard to break down. So for QPR to score 3 goals after the back of conceding 7, I mean, fair play to them. That takes a lot of character, that does, to do that. I mean, it's a bit of a motivation anyway, really. They're going to have a bit of a rocket from their manager, and their fans are going to expect better. But Smith scored in the 8th minute, and then they missed. I think because Dembele missed a plum of a chance.
Yeah, lovely one too.
In the first half. I thought the Charlton goal was good goals. Rob Apter, he scored just after half.
He kind of bounced over, didn't it, at the back post?
Yeah, he was a bit of a deceiver, wasn't he? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've conceded goals like that before at Blues, and then they scored 2 late goals. A lot of late goals in this game weekend. But Sato scored in the 84th, and then Richard Kone scored in the 97th.
Was that Kone's first goal, Dad?
No, he scored. I think he scored a consolation goal against Coventry right at the very end. But we saw Richard Kone quite a lot last season in League One at Wickham. So he's obviously scored 2 goals in 2 games. So you can't criticise that. But they've been very late goals. But I think QPR fans will be interested to see how him and eventually Poku, when he gets fit, come into this team.
For me, Dad, I think Richard Kone is a massively overrated player. I didn't really see the hype even when we were playing in League One last season when we played Wickham. I just didn't really get it. I mean, fair play to QPR and Kone. He scored 2 goals, and clearly that's what they brought him in for. But for me, I didn't get the hype around him last season.
No. But let's see how he gets on. But this game though, Matt, was particularly. I think it was 3-1, but if you look at all the stats, they're very close in terms of equal amount of shots. Possession's quite close, so slightly better possession for Charlton. And
also, you can get obviously we don't get to watch all these games for the full 90 minutes, so obviously we rely on the highlight clips and the extended highlight clips. And the QPR Charlton game, it seemed quite end to end, quite fast paced, quite a lot of chances. So it looked like that was actually one of the better games of the weekend. And QPR, when they go forward, they play some lovely football.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be their problem. That's not going to be their problem, is it?
Him.
Yeah, I think it's what they do in defence is going to be, because clearly they've got firepower. With the players they brought in. But I think Charlton will be disappointed with that defeat. But it's just early in the season. They've done okay to start.
Ultimately, Dad, Charlton have got 4 points from their first few games. So I think if you ask a lot of Charlton fans in their transition back up, they'd take that.
Yeah, and they're not losing games. That was 3-1, but that was a very late goal. But for all the stats and what I saw, it was very tight.
They're holding their own, aren't they? Very, very much so. Yeah. Okay, that brings us on to one of the games you referenced in your sort of introduction there as a bit of a surprise, and that's Stoke City 0, West Bromwich Albion 1. Yeah,
I again watched the highlights of this game. 2 teams going into that as unbeaten, and West Brom have this way, don't they? Of if they get into the lead, they're very hard hard to break down. I mean, Nate Phillips scored early on. It was a bit of a scrappy goal, to be honest. A poor defending. I think Johansson, the goalkeeper, came out and tried to punch it, and it basically just fell to Nate Phillips, who was just beyond the 6-yard line by the penalty spot, and he just knocked it through a crowd of players into the goal. And after that, it was 1-0 for the whole game. And again, stats suggest a very close game for this as well.
From what I saw, that it was. I mean, it's hard to tell, isn't it, from the highlights, because there are things it misses and doesn't pick up. I often watch the Blues highlights and go to myself, why didn't they include that clip?
I know.
So you do have to take the highlights with a pinch of salt. I totally get that. But from what I saw, I think Stoke will feel hard done by that. They didn't get a point. It looked like they had some good chances to score. West Brom did as well. It just looked like a more even game than West Brom.
But this the Championship, Matt. This is what it is. Sometimes 100%. It's just one chance like that actually determines the game, 100%. which is why you've got similar quality teams there. But I think West Brom will be happy with the start to the season. They're second now, aren't they?
They are. They're doing, and Stoke are doing very well. They've both had really good starts to the season. And what I'll say, that's a very rare mistake by Johansson. For me, he's the best goalkeeper in the Championship. So to get an error, apart from Allsop, of course. Very rare mistakes from him. So West Brom will be buzzing to take that. And I almost looked at it like a little bit jealous. A goal from a corner. When was the last time Blues scored a goal from a corner?
I know.
But so that takes...
from that. But then from Stoke's perspective, it's good for West Brom, but very disappointed to concede from a corner from Stoke as well. So,
absolutely.
I mean, I think them two teams are going to be at the top half of the table definitely this season. So that would have been a decent game, that one.
And of course, Dad, we travel to Stoke as our next competitive league game of the season. Yeah. So always good to watch the highlights of the next game as well. Which is cool.
Absolutely.
So that brings on to Blackburn Rovers at home, Dad, and they lost 2-0 to Norwich.
Yeah, I watched this as well. I watched the highlights to this. Josh Sargent, Norwich need to keep him.
Good player.
They need to keep him because I know that he nearly went to Wolfsburg and that fell through at the last minute.
Was that 20 million?
Yeah, it was 20
money,
plus. It was 20 plus. But if they lose him, I think that's going to be the difference between whether they have a really good season or just an average season. Yeah. I think they'll be fine. Norwich will be again. I think they'll be challenging the top half. But haven't they lost their first 2 home games and won their first 2 away games?
They definitely lost to Millwall at home. Yeah. Did they lose again? I think they did, didn't they? Both. Yeah, I think you're right.
But they've won both of their away games. And as you know, we went to Blackburn and won a few weeks ago. Yeah. But they had a penalty, didn't they? Sorry, it wasn't a penalty. It was a penalty at the end. Oh no, sorry, the first goal was a penalty, and it was a penalty. I think the Blackburn players were complaining, but I looked at it and I looked at it a couple of times. It was a very clumsy challenge from the defender. Yeah. And you're giving the referee a decision to make. But what made it worse, the player was sent off.
Right.
So I think that's the way the referee saw it. And Josh Sargent went and put that in. And then there's a good goal at the end. I think usually when a team likes chasing the game, often you'll see these late goals, won't you?
You do. Yeah.
But a bit of a worry for Blackburn. They've lost both their home games. But then Norwich, it's weird, isn't it, when you see a team like losing their home games and then winning their away games?
Especially Carrow Road, because it is so notorious to be a difficult place to get points at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Norwich has always been a tricky place. I mean, we've not won there since Stern John in 2002-03 season, so it shows it is a tough place to go. But you're right, Dad. I think a lot of Blackburn fans now will be scratching their heads going, where do we go from here? But they have played some good teams. So I wouldn't be too concerned at the moment if I was a Blackburn fan.
Well, they had a good result against Hull. They beat Hull 3-0 away in their last game. So, I suppose Blackburn fans would have expected better at home. But like I say, Norwich are a good and solid team, so it's not the end of the world.
I think Blackburn will be fine. Yeah, they'll get firing. So that brings on to another home win for Bristol City, Dad. Bristol City 4, Hull City 2. Yeah,
they're scoring lots of goals, Bristol City, aren't they?
Yeah.
They seem to have, have this way of just I think on the counter attack they look really good. I mean, a lot of the goals that they're scoring is with pace, isn't it? And breaking teams down. But I think from Hull they'll be disappointed with their defending. The first goal that Jakobsen scored, they got caught in possession in their own half. And there was a goal towards the end where exactly the same thing happened. So on 2 of their goals were literally where they had the ball stolen off and they went through and scored.
Yeah.
But they scored first, Hull, didn't they?
They did.
Gelhardt scored first, where Bristol City got caught in possession. So it seems to be the typical modern game is where teams press, that's obviously goals being conceded as a consequence of that. So yeah, but I mean 4-2. You know, they're going to be strong at home, Bristol City, and they're in the playoffs at the moment. And everybody wondered how they get on after they lost Liam Manning to Norwich. But to Gerhard Struber's come in, and he's obviously made them quite attacking. So I think Bristol City fans will be happy with their attacking form. And again, you know, it's just a case of whether they can maintain it over the season. Because a lot of people thought with Bristol City, when Liam Manning went, that their chances of playoffs or challenging would diminish. But yeah, I like that Max Bird as well. He scored their last goal. He looks like a decent player. And I also like Scott Twine. He's a good player. He didn't score in this game, but Mehmeti as well. I mean, they've got good players. Good players. Hull, I mean, they're gonna, you know, I think they're gonna have a tough season. Hull. They brought in some decent players because they have got a transfer embargo, haven't they? That Joe Galhart, they got him from Leeds, I think. He scored their first goal. He was on loan there previously. I think players like him will have to step up this season. But I think they'll be disappointed with conceding 4. They were 3-1 down at half time.
Yeah. Cole Josie scored in the 92nd minute just as a consolation.
He looks like end to end. I mean, again, I know you don't play much on stats, but you know, Bristol City had 29 shots in total, and Hull had 20.
Yeah. I was going to say, when I looked at, you know, I mentioned earlier about the QPR game and the Charlton game, this was another one which seemed like it had that lightning pace, end-to-end kind of game to it.
Well, I look envious at this. You know, I look at Blues when we were talking in our podcast when we did the post-match against Leicester about our lack of shots on target. In this one, Hull had 9 on target and Bristol City had 6.
Right.
So, you know, we'd have snapped our hand off for those stats in our game, wouldn't we? But, good start, Bristol City. Hull obviously need to start to improve things.
Bristol City will be good at home this season.
Yeah, I think so.
And what I like about Bristol City as well is they seem like a team that are really together. You know, you talk about high quality, you talk about clubs like United and Chelsea, they buy loads of players and they lack that chemistry. Bristol City, they're the complete opposite. They've got good team now. Solid team, solid foundation, which is good. So that brings us on to another game you referenced that as a bit of a shock, and that's Ipswich Town 2, Derby County 2, with a 90+16 Jack Clark penalty to get the draw.
Yeah, Ipswich have started
slow start, isn't it?
They haven't won a game yet. No. And again, you wouldn't have put odds on that with the games that they're playing. They would have expected to beat Derby at home, but Derby have brought in a lot of players.
Yeah.
And I think Derby, again, they're a team that haven't won a game. So there's 2 teams here that haven't won a game this season, but both teams are going to be okay. Ipswich, though, will be disappointed because everyone's expecting them to be challenging right at the top of this table.
Someone not quite clicking at Ipswich at the minute, is there? I don't know whether it's the relegation hangover or they've lost.
I think so.
A few big players.
Amara Hutchinson's a big loss, and Sam Morsey as well.
And Delap.
Delap.
3 big losses. So are they struggling to? Was their recruitment slightly off? I don't know, but something isn't quite right at Ipswich at the minute.
They sold a few. They sold to Transabi as well, didn't they? Go to Burnley or something like that. But they have let players go. But again, I think they're gonna. You know, we'll see at the time of recording. As I said, this podcast goes out on transfer deadline day. Ipswich are going to do a lot of business, I believe, on transfer. But it's a good goal. I mean, Jacob Greaves scored their first goal. Really good strike into the bottom corner of the goal. But then Derby, you know, Carlton Morris penalty, and then they took the lead with Ryan Brewster in the 73rd minute, and it was a 90+18th minute penalty from Jack Clark. I thought it was a soft penalty. Ipswich have got a habit of doing this. They did it against us, getting late penalties, haven't they? But Ipswich shouldn't be relying on that. They should be not scrapping in the last seconds to get a goal. And I think that's going to be something they'll have to fix because they've got to start to dominate games and take the lead.
It's absolutely not a dig at Derby County because I agree with you, Dad. They have Eustace, has that stubborn, solid setup, and I think they'll be fine. But you have to be beating Derby County at home if you want to be pushing back for the automatic.
Ipswich would expect to beat them. Ipswich would expect to beat us.
Birmingham.
They'd expect to beat most teams at Portman Road. But again, typical John Eustace, 30% possession, but that's what we got used to that Birmingham City, and it just shows you that possession doesn't mean that much really. It's what you do with the ball. So John Eustace, we know he's happy with his team being out of possession
on the back foot,
and then obviously making the most of it.
He makes it very effective, doesn't he?
And he's very good at set pieces as well. They're very good at set pieces. That's what
every club he's gone to, he's done well, Eustace, because of this setup. Again, he's a solid manager.
Yeah, Ipswich have got to start to put some results together. I think after this international break and the transfer window's now closed, I think teams will settle down. Ipswich will start to sort of move up that table. We know that, but a very disappointing start for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That brings on to our next game, and that's another one you referenced in your intro, and that's Millwall 0, Wrexham 2.
Yeah, I think this is the game that Wrexham wanted. They wanted to get their first win under their belt. From what I saw, they typical Wrexham in that they absorbed a lot of pressure. Millwall had a lot of half chances. They weren't fantastic. But Kiefer Moore, he's turned out to be a great signing. I mean, Sheffield United, when he went, look, you saw all the comments from Sheffield United fans. I will drive him there and all this type of thing, as you do. But they'll be looking at the goals he's scoring. Think we could do with him in our team at the moment. And it was a good goal. He scored. It was a very brave goal. The ball's lofted in, really looped in high to the far post, and he gets above his. I think, and the goalkeeper comes in, and he loops the ball in. It's a very, very brave, physical goal, which I would expect off a big, strong striker like that. Yeah. That makes it 1-0. And they scored right at the end as well. Lewis O'Brien, 90 plus 18. Again, that was a good goal, actually. It was a good build-up for that goal for Wrexham. So, again, I think Wrexham are starting to show now that they're adjusting to the Championship. I think they will win quite a number of games. And I think they will start to, again, move up the table. If you look at the players that they brought in, fine. Millwall was disappointing because in terms of we saw them beat Norwich at the open day of the season at Norwich, and they've won 2 and lost 2 now, haven't they? And I think everyone's expecting now Millwall to have a solid season because they only just about missed out on the playoffs, didn't they, last season? So I think they'll be disappointed with this. But again, look at stats. I know you don't like stats, but 21 shots they had to Wrexham 6. But it ended up 2-0 to Wrexham, but that's football.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Kiefer Moore, on paper, it was the perfect Wrexham signing because they do go direct. They do get a lot of balls in the box. Kiefer Moore's perfect. He's that typical kind of physical striker, isn't he?
He's for them, I mean, Sheffield United fans may disagree with this, but for what Wrexham have had before, Kiefer Moore is a level above the strikers they've had in terms of his experience. Obviously, he's a Welsh international. He's height as well. So if you play to his game like Wrexham are clearly doing, he'll score a lot of goals, and he's done well so far at Wrexham, and I think he'll continue to score.
Okay, Dad, so this next one for me was a surprise, really, to be fair. I thought Cov would have enough to win this game, and that's Oxford United 2, Coventry City 2.
Yeah, well, we know what Coventry did last week. They put 7 past Queen's Park Rangers, and they're 5 the week before against Derby. So
scoring a lot of goals, didn't they?
Everyone looked at this on paper and thought, well, that's got to be a Coventry victory because Oxford have really struggled. Oxford haven't actually got a point, have they, before this game? No. But had you put them in the lead in the 12th minute, and then Will Lancashire scored in the 19th, and then a great goal from Victor Torp, for the free kick.
He's a good goal. He scores some screamers, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, really, really good goal. And then I think Oxford had a goal disallowed for offside from Lancashire, but Cameron Brannigan is one of their better players. He got the equaliser in the 22nd. I think both Oxford will be satisfied with that first point against a good team. Coventry. It's an away point, isn't it? I suppose it's another one to the tally. And again, gives them a solid start.
Absolutely. And what I'd say, Dad, I mean, everyone knows I live in Coventry, got a lot of Coventry fans and friends around me. And what they said was it was a complete game of two halves. My friend said Coventry came out in the first half looking like Real Madrid and came out the second looking like Accrington Stanley. It was just a complete opposite performances, he goes. And then you get a lot of them are saying fair play to Oxford for hanging in there for that second half performance. So, sounded like it was a deserved point for both teams. Yeah. That brings on to a narrow win for Portsmouth, Dad, and that's 1-0 at home against Preston North End.
I like Portsmouth the way they go about their business. They're quietly building and quietly. There's no circus around Portsmouth. It's just a business end. Building their team nicely. Building up, they've got a good manager. He knows what he's doing in terms of his formation, his tactics, and beating Preston is a good result because they've had some good results this season. Andre Dezal, one of our former players, scored the goal, and a good goal as well to win that game. So I think they're about 8th in the table now. They're the same points and 2 places above us.
Haven't Preston beat Leicester and Ipswich?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why this is a good result. But fair play to Portsmouth. I think they could be the quiet assassins of the league this season, if you know what I mean.
That's a good word, assassins.
Yeah, because they're no one's really looking at them, if you know what I mean. Yeah, but they're quietly doing it. I really really like that in the team. So yeah, fair play to Portsmouth.
Also-
and I like Portsmouth as well because they've got a real strong, fan base,
Yeah.
real history, and they've been through the mire, haven't they? So
Yeah, exactly.
fair play to them.
I kind of throw Portsmouth in that same category as like Sunderland and West Brom and so they're big clubs. They should be in at least Championship Premier League level.
Yeah.
So I like seeing clubs like Portsmouth do well.
Yeah.
They remind me of the Barclays Premier League when we were in there, and maybe Yakubu and Gary O'Neill and had a good team. But I think both of these teams will do quite well this season. I think Preston and Portsmouth will both have good seasons, and that's why a 1-0 narrow defeat didn't surprise me. I didn't expect much to separate those teams.
No, it was always going to be a tight game.
Yeah, absolutely, Dad. So that brings on to our penultimate, which is Sheffield Wednesday 0, Swansea City 2.
Yeah, well, every time somebody mentions Sheffield Wednesday, all you think of is turmoil, really, isn't it? And, I don't know where they are. Maybe Sheffield Wednesday fans can maybe give us an update. Is there any movement on the ownership front? Because that's what needs to happen, really. I saw the highlights of that game. A lot of empty seats. I think the Sheffield Wednesday fans are voting with their feet where they can. Those are committed to season tickets will probably end up still going. But 2 goals in the second half from Swansea. Is it Vopnik scored the first goal and Ronald again in the 81st. But from the stats, I think it looks like again maybe Sheffield Wednesday fans could correct this. It looks like Swansea dominated that game,
right,
in terms of possession and shots. 17 shots compared to 9. 8 on target compared to 1, and 65% possession. It does suggest domination, but as we know, stats don't always tell a story. But Sheffield Wednesday need to start to pick up points, and that's not a great result for them, is it?
No, and I saw them against Leicester, Dad, and I thought they actually played some pretty good football, but it's tragic what's going on behind the scenes, isn't it? And it's not as bad for Blues. We did have a very bad owner, and it did get quite ropey there before Knighthead took over. It's not quite as bad as Sheffield Wednesday, but we can still relate to that scenario of giving your money to the club, having that internal battle of whether you go and support them, and because effectively when you buy a season ticket, you're giving your money directly to Chantieri, aren't you?
Yeah,
and that's that battle that you have, and we totally get that as a fan base. So
he's got to go. Though.
He's got to go
for that club.
He's valuing them at like 100 million or something, or 75 million. Or something.
He has to go. He's literally. I mean, the club are just going on their knees with him, and let's hope that can get sorted soon.
Just bringing it back to football, that's going to be a long old season for Sheffield Wednesday.
Yep.
So that's our last game then, Dad, and that's Watford at home to Southampton. It's a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, it looked like a good game, actually, didn't it? I think Southampton, again, they'd not started the season how they'd want either. They took the lead early. Cameron Archer scored in the 10th minute, and then late goals then. Bar from Watford scored in the 65th, and then back in the lead, Ryan Manning scored for Southampton, and then an equaliser. So basically, it was a sort of backwards and forwards type of thing.
Yeah.
But again, I think for both teams, Watford and Southampton, neither of them have started the Championship season exactly as they'd want. So it's a bit of I think both teams are probably disappointed with the point. To be fair,
yeah, I think Watford have just fell into the kind of Championship abyss, haven't they? They're in that just sort of no man's land, where they're. I mentioned it at the game previously, Dad, about. Some of my Coventry fans were saying it's kind of like now or never. They don't really make a push for it this season. They're worried they're going to kind of fall into the abyss. So I guess like Norwich, Watford, arguably West Brom.
Interesting. I'm looking at the league table at the moment. I know it's only 4 games in, based upon what you've just said.
Yeah.
Right bang in the middle of the table. 11th Norwich, 12th Millwall, 13th Southampton, 14th Watford.
Yeah.
They're all those teams. We're obviously 10th, but at the moment Birmingham. But it's only 4 games. And I get that. But it's sort of you are right. So what point Matt's making is that sometimes teams come down from the Premier League and they might have a few seasons where they're challenging, and eventually they get sucked back into the Championship.
Yeah.
And I think Watford are that team at the moment, aren't they?
It's that thing where you don't quite push and your parachute payments run out, and then you kind of just get stuck in this middle ground. And
Southampton won't want to do that. I mean, they came down from the Premier League last season, but they had an abysmal season in the Premier League. But they've won their first game, and they've drawn, so they will again want to pick up points. They've just signed Tom Fellows, though. He's a good signing.
They have, for good money. Well, I say good money. I think 10 million is a steal for Tom Fellows.
That's good. That's very good. Very good price,
Again, Watford and Southampton will both be fine. I think Southampton will definitely be playoffs and above. I think they've definitely got enough in there to be pushing this season. I think Watford, I think, will be maybe just hovering around above, maybe mid-table, below mid-table kind of
Championship's
region.
a tough division, Matt.
Oh,
You
it's
know,
hard,
and
yeah.
it is really, really hard. We know this. It's hard to predict. I agree with what your comments are on those teams. But you know what? Team only has to go on a run of
course,
3 or
yeah.
4 bad results, and suddenly they're in trouble.
No, exactly that. And I'm only going by what I've been watching in the first 4 games. Teams are just adjusting at the moment. A lot of new managers, a lot of new transfers through.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon? The league doesn't take shape really until about somewhere between 10 and 15 games. It starts to take its actual shape.
I think most people use a benchmark of 10 games
10
to actually have a look. Just one correction, actually, for me. I've just noticed in the league table, I thought Blackburn had won 2 and drawn 2. They've actually only won 1.
Okay.
So, which is a game against Hull. They've lost the other 3. So apologies for that. I've literally just got the league table up in front of me and just noticed that. No. So as things stand at the moment, we have the 2 Sheffield clubs bottom, Sheffield United bottom, Sheffield Wednesday above, then Oxford just above them, then Derby, Ipswich and Blackburn at the bottom of the table.
Yeah.
And as you said, Matt, top of the table, loud and proud at the moment for Middlesbrough. 100% record. First, West Brom second, Stoke third, and Leicester fourth. The table will start to shape up over the next half dozen games, and we'll have a better picture of where teams might not do.
Absolutely, and of course now we go into the international break for a week. Birmingham City come back, and we face Stoke away. And I'm looking forward to the week's break. I'm not going to lie, I feel like it's got off to a rocket ship start this season. Obviously, we do the podcast, so we're here, there, and everywhere. If you include the cup games, looking forward to a week off. And coming back as a Blue supporter, going to Stoke away. Dab. Any final thoughts before I wrap up the video?
Yeah, just to remind people, even though it's a week off football, we are still going to be publishing podcasts over the week. The transfer window one will be done when I come back. So yeah, keep an eye on the channel and keep viewing. And thanks for everybody who watches and comments on our podcast.
Yeah, awesome. But as always, we would love to hear from you. So please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like the video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also over on Spotify, so you can listen and watch us over there as well. And if you haven't already, don't forget to press that big red subscribe button and press that bell icon so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.